CBS News legal analyst Rikki Klieman is following the Bulger trial. Rikki, good morning.
Good morning, Charlie.
So what do we learn after the first 2 days?
Well, I think the first two witnesses are there to set up and show Bulger being, first of all, violent. You had Tom Foley, former trooper with the state police, and who holds up gun after gun, machine guns. So we can know that Whitey Bulger really stopped at nothing as he ran the rackets. Bobby Long, one of the greatest detectives that I had the honor to work with in the state police, big surveillance on Whitey Bulger back in the early 80s. And we learn about one of the first victims to suddenly disappear. Bobby Long saw him go into the Lancaster Street garage, and at some point later on, Bucky Barrett is dead. One other thing about the state police is we know if these investigations were not compromised back in the early 80s by the FBI and by a particularly crooked or twisted other state police officer, when the word got out through Bulger's handlers to Bulger and they suddenly disappeared, that all the business they were doing was now suddenly over in that location, there are definitely 8 people who would not be dead.
I want to go back to Carter's piece for just a second, Rikki, because I thought it was a great piece with a guy who was a next-door neighbor. Does it surprise you that Whitey Bulger would still want to stay in contact with this guy, since the guy helped in some way the FBI catch him?
Doesn't surprise me a bit.
Why?
Whitey Bulger has this code of honor. You have bad guys and they get in the way. Those bad guys we don't want around. But this neighbor was a good guy. This neighbor didn't do anything that any other neighbor wouldn't have done. Poor guy was then surrounded by FBI agents after they got the tip and said, you know, we need to get this guy, Whitey Bulger, who he knew by a different name as Charlie Gasco, we need to get him downstairs so there's no violence here. Whitey doesn't hold a grudge against him, and Whitey likes good people to like Whitey. He wants them to say good things. It's part of his Robin Hood image that he has tried so hard to foster and protect.
What's his conduct at the defense table? Does he try to get involved with the case as he's listening to the witness about talking to his defense attorney?
One of the things I find very intriguing is his conduct at the table. If I were his lawyer, I would want him engaged. I've been told by people who've been at the trial that when the state police witnesses look at him and they glare at him because he's the person that they really wanted to get, that what happens is Whitey will not meet their gaze. And let me tell you, that's not lost in the jury.
All right, Rikki Klieman, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.